Right guys, so today we're going to be doing a deep house tutorial. It has an organ bass line. This sort of track was popular in about 2016, back when house music was popping on SoundCloud. If you want to download this project, you can get that from my Patreon. This is what we're going to be walking through. Okay, so we're going to start off at the top as always. First, we've got this kick. This is from the Evolutions of Sound pack, which is YouTuber Zenworld's website. You can download this for free if you just search Evolution of Sound, and it's the Dirty Birds pack. Yeah, the kick sounds like this. Got no process on it. It's really nice, beefed up and processed. As you can see, it's all pretty normalized. Next, we've got this drum group. These aren't doing anything, so we can delete those. We've got this drum bus, which is beefing up the drums. We've got this EQ, which is taking out the low end. We've got this auto filter, which shouldn't even be on. So let's quickly delete that. We've then got the washout. So this is cool. You use this in the drops, but this isn't even on. We can add a little bit if you want. This basically just adds a few effects like reverb, delay, as you can hear. Useful before drops. Then we've got this hat. This is a 909 open hat, the house standard. It's got a bit of distortion on it. Got to beef it up a little bit. And this just taking out the low end because you don't actually need it without it. Just all this stuff. Doesn't really make too much of a difference, but it's unnecessary. But it's being taken out like this anyway. But then we've got this clap. What the fuck is that? Bit of a dirty clap. Let's hear it. Actually sounds quite nice. Boosting the top end, reverbing it, even though it's not even on. Then we've got an actual reverb without it, with it. Gives it a bit of space. And then we've actually boosted it too much, so we've taken down some of the high frequencies. It's a little bit harsh. Then we've got this other clap. No processing at all. This is just layered together with this. Without it. So it adds a bit of mid to it, mid-range. Then we've got this hats loop. This is from a Noizu. This is meant to be sidechain to the kick. Without it, with it. Just adds a little bit of rhythm, also some high frequencies. Then we've got this ride. This is just adding high frequencies also. This should be sidechain to the kick. Because I changed the kick drum, it's deleted that. RIP headphone users. Right, all we've got here, taking out the low end and a side chain to the kick. Then we've got a shaker. This is Big Z pack. It's just adding a bit of rhythm. Quite subtle, but it's there, carrying the track forward. Then we've got another shaker. This is a maraca hit from the drum section. Got a little EQ in it, so you're just getting everything above 1000 hertz. Then we've got this little echo without it. It's just a hit with it. Got a bit of rhythm. So just notes. So change that from dotted to notes mode. 16, a little bit of dry wet and a little bit of feedback. Pretty simple, sort of thing you just chuck on. This is also featured in the break. Instead of a hat, which sometimes can be a bit harsh, I've done that and it adds a bit of rhythm. Next, we've got the bass. Let's listen to this. This is like a respace. So this is from a Stranger Things preset pack. I can't even remember who it's by, ESW, if you want to look that up. But yeah, it's actually got the, so this is the wavetable from a Prophet synth, which is like an old-fashioned synth, analog synth, and they've basically stolen the wavetable and chucked it in there. They've also got the Moog, which is an old-fashioned synth, and they've taken the wavetable from that and chucked it in there, so then you get this really nice sort of analog sounding synth. So it sounds a bit fuzzy, which is nice. Also got this noise, which happened from it. So that's a J60, so that's the Jupiter 60, which is also just a bit of like noise fuzz from an old synth. But yeah, if you want to have a look at that, envelope's not doing a lot. Not a lot of effects on it. Pretty simple. Next we've got this piano. Oh, just in terms of the bass notes, it's just root note, up a third, down a third from the root note, then the in-between note. Sounds like this. Pretty standard practice in terms of these notes. This is the same, this is pretty, I do this in most tracks to be honest, this sort of style, then obviously pitch it up and down. But yeah, pretty simple, pretty basic, sort of my go-to I guess. Then we've got this piano. This is done on the M1. Quite harsh, I will say. In terms of notes, very fucking bass. So we've got the root note, then we've got up a third. No, don't. upper fifth perhaps. Then we got F sharp. Ah yeah, right, so what we've done, we've gone upper third, so boom, bomb, then pitched that up, and then we've gone the fifth, so bomb, 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 and then we've pitched that up an octave. So it would look like this. So that's what it would look like. It would sound like this. Let's pitch it up quickly. I mean, it just sounds a bit cowboy, a bit horrible. So that's why if you separate it, like I've done here, and pitch it about, it sounds a bit nicer, a bit more energetic. Not even energetic, a bit more depressing, if anything. In terms of processing, this has been disabled. Not sure what even that was. An effects rack of some sort. I imagine adding a bit of OTT. But was it that necessary? Let's try it with. In fact, yeah, let's keep that. I mean, I don't think it's too important to get tied down with this sort of track, because it's not like a radio track. It's sort of just something you make for fun. Might release it, might get a few views, you know what I mean, but it's not gonna be like the world's best track. So don't spend too much time fucking around with effects, because you can get lost on that sort of shit. Anyway, it was a bit harsh, so I took out some of the higher frequencies. Got the OTT that she just added. The compressor's not doing anything. This compressor is sidechained to the kick, so when the kick comes in, the sound ducks down, so you can hear the kick punch through better. And then we've got this auto filter, which is doing nothing. A lot of effects, as you can tell in my projects, are doing absolutely fuck all. So you could delete that. And we've got this second piano. Simplest piano, which is a sample you can get from the instruments section. Again, we've got a little filter off the top and off the bottom. This rack isn't working. Compressor, so this is compressing it slightly. It's just making the quiet bits louder, or the louder bits quieter technically, but yeah. Then we've got this compressor, which is sidechained to the kick again, so the kick punches through, and this filter, which I bet is doing fucking nothing. Correct. Delete that. Next, we've got this drop piano. So this comes in the second half of the drop. Exact same preset as this one. So that's the piano 8. Again, taking a bit of the top off, sidechain to the kick, and this filter is on and sort of sweeps it up in the drop. Next, we've got this pad, which I think is technically just a string because it's one note. Okay, so the song I threw together, I've got an atmosphere from Val. I'll show the Ouya, which is like the vocal. And then I've added an analog sine wave and squeeze the wave position a bit, just so you can hear it more. Adds a bit more character to it. I've got this compressor, which is multi-banding, so taking out the low end. This filter, taking out more low end. And this reverb, making it not sound like shit, and adding a bit of space to it. Bit of chorusy as well. So yeah, that's all that's doing. That just adds a bit of like you don't hear it. You wouldn't know it was there until you take it away. It just adds a bit of background noise, which really helps the track sound more full. Next, we've got this string, pretty basic M1 string. Oh, I hate this. There you go. Got a nice bit of reverb on it, quite a lot of reverb without it. With it, just helps it put it back in the mix. You don't want it to be too in your face. And preset, we've got the strings preset, which has all these strings, Got even more reverb on here. I think that's just pretty standard with the preset. But yeah, that's just playing the root note, as is this. Just in terms of the rhythm of this, it's just following the bass line pattern, which we're going to get to now. So we've got the Korg, M1, bass, organ 2, preset. Got a little bit of reverb on it, a little bit of excite. Whack that up. Why not? What else have we got? We've got a Saturn, which is distorting some of the low end and the top end. Basically making it a bit louder and adding more harmonics to the sound. Then we've got this compressor, which is sidechaining to the kick. We've got an EQ, taking out some of the subs, because that's done. The bass subs are on a separate track, because the subs from the organ 2 are a little bit dirty and like old, so a bit trampy sounding. Again, that's just taking out more of the low end, just so it's double taken out. Again, we've got another sidechain, even though we've already got one, but why the fuck not? Then we've got this auto filter, which comes in nicely in the first break and the second break. Really helps add a bit of, I don't know, just I find it quite satisfying on the ear, I guess. So you've got the top of the vocal cut off and then the bottom of the bass cut off, so it sort of should be the reverse of that in like a traditional setting, like the drop. But I guess as it's reversed, it sounds, it's quite refreshing to the ears. Then we've got this sub. This is probably Serum. Yeah, Gorgon City bass. Envelope's pulled up a bit. All you got is this. Which is a standard sub, really. Bit clicky, but so are all subs with a square wave. Still clicky, who cares? The attack, if you want to get rid of that, bring the attack up. Or maybe not. This one. No, it's just clicky because the sustain. No, the release. It's just fucking clicky, right? You know what I mean? It's a bass, so you can't hear it anyway. Next, we've got this Pro Q3, which is taking off all the top end because, as I said, all of this onwards is used on the organ. Organ on its own needs a bit of bass. With this, fills those frequencies. Sub on its own, just sub needs the bass. So yeah, then we've got a sidechain to the kick and another sidechain to the kick. Don't know why I've done two. You could probably delete the second one. Who gives a fuck? Next, we've got this vocal. It's got a nectar on it. This, I used to always use this, but then someone said don't use it, and then I thought, yeah, I guess it is pretty shit, so I've sort of stopped using it. But it's got good auto-tune. It's got D sharp auto-tune in the vocal bit. Little bit of reverb, not a lot though, only wet 21. Bit of EQ boosting the top end, add a bit of shine to the vocal, a de-esser to get rid of the harsh like S and T sounds. Then we've got a compressor, which is raising the peaks down a little bit, but not doing all that much. Then we've got a sidechain to the kick. We've got an auto filter, another auto filter, which comes in at the end of here before the second drop. Onto the next vocal. So this all this is a chop of the original vocal. It's got the exact same audio effects, but we've chopped it up a bit and added an echo onto it. So as you can hear, it's not the cleanest chop, but the echo makes it sound a bit cleaner and less like harsh. Without it, I think that little break hit, it sounds alright in context with the drop. You can't really hear it, so. Next we've got this. This is just a chop from this again, but in the breakdown, or sorry, the second breakdown, or the build, sort of comes in as a bit of a call and response. And I processed this differently because I sort of wanted to sound like her or someone else speaking, as opposed to the main one that's going on. Yeah, so I've taken out the low end, taking out the top, taking out more of the low. So yeah, I guess artistically in this section, I'm using that one bit of vocal and basically adding a different style of audio effects onto this. So it basically sounds like it's her talking to herself or someone talking to her. So this to me is sort of like her thoughts, like, or is this her speaking? Then this is her, like, say the devil on her shoulder, like talking back to her. Next section, we'd have this awful chop. It's got a click on it, but with all the reverb, you can't hear it. Sidechain to the kick, cutting out all the lows, everything below okay, taking out some top. Probably a bit loud. Again, same as the layer up here, the atmosphere layer, the pad, quote unquote. This layer is, without it, like, it sits in the back of the mix, but it's sort of essential in filling out the space, like the dead space between the other instruments. Then we got this string. Again, this just adds, I guess, some more, what would you call it? Sort of synthetic instruments and a bit of, if you look at the chords, it's sort of a chord, isn't it? So not melody, the other one. What's it fucking called? Bounce to, there you go, add some harmonies to the track. There we go, fuck me. This guy, like, I had a stroke. Yeah, so that adds some harmonies. This is just basic that. I think you just drag and drop it, move that a bit. Got an echo, just so it's not too in your face in the mix. A bit saturated to warm it up a bit. And again, as most things, taking out the low end. We've then got this art, which is pretty nice. So this is a Big Z art, which I think, yeah, I've changed a lot. This isn't a Big Z art at all. So yeah, just added a Juno, so on analog Juno, which is an old synth. We discussed that earlier. Yeah, I think, has it got a bit of detuning? No. What's, oh, it's got this. I guess that's adding some effect. And in this macro, it's controlling a few things. So the level of this, and it's opening up the envelope so the note's getting longer. Also the filter's cutting off. And yeah, that's what, yeah, this hyper, it's like a chorus effect. So that's basically why it sounds a bit like, ooh, like alien vibes. Then we've got this reverb. So it's not as in your face, less plucky. We've got saturated, just beefing it up a bit. And again, taking out the low end. And lastly, we've got the effects. I'm not really going to go through these. These are pretty basic. It's just a load of white noise. I fucking hate effects, they're so boring. White noise and crash roll, snare drum and another snare drum. Up sweeps, down sweeps, up sweeps, down sweeps, fucking boring. No one cares about that. Alright guys, this is quite a long video to be honest. But yeah, I thank you very much for watching. As always, comment what vids you want below. I've seen a few of your requests, and I will get through them. I've got them on a list at the moment, and I will work through them. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.